For your community, disability community, Julie Russell-Steuart. Give it up.
Thank you for having me today. For those of us that might not be seeing me, I'm a white woman wearing glasses with long dark brown hair, shaved on the right side with hearing aids, and wearing a dark blue ray gun shirt that says America Needs Access. The treatment of our disabled individuals is always a telling indicator of how low we as a society can go in treating everyone. We saw that in our governor's complete disregard for students with disabilities and her mask mandate ban, which put them at risk for COVID and even halted education for many kids. Disability advocates often talk about paternalism, the paternalistic viewpoint that says you are not in charge. That someone else is in charge of your body and life is very familiar to us. The fight for bodily autonomy and the right to make medical decisions ourselves is a fight we have been having for a very long time. In other words, disability justice is and has been reproductive justice too. A woman activist that I know who uses a wheelchair talks about bias in doctors that won't let her make an appointment because she cannot transfer to the exam table on her own. She talks about doctors who wrongly assume that she needs no reproductive health care because she's a disabled person who uses a wheelchair. That's discrimination, not to mention ableism. And if you don't know this already, disabled people do have sex and deserve reproductive health care. We all deserve to be treated as people who can live full lives. Unfortunately, many people would agree that a person with a developmental disability cannot be a parent or even handle taking birth control. So someone else decides that they don't get to. This is the paternalism and lack of adequate resources people with disabilities face. Every one of us is worthy of power over ourselves and our bodies and our choices. Why should we consent to a patriarchal system of laws that has already devalued and subjugated entire communities of color, of indigenous, of disabled, by ending their ability to have children with forced sterilization? Why do they have the right to keep telling us what they think we should do with our bodies and our lives? It wasn't until 1974 that North Carolina's state forced sterilization program was stopped against people of color and disability. Unbelievable, right?
Disgusting.
But it isn't, because it happened to refugees trapped in immigration and customs enforcement camps in 2020. There are still laws in 31 states, including Iowa, that allow a judge to determine if a person with a disability can make medical decisions. So of course someone else, like a guardian or a judge, gets to decide what happens to them. Often it amounts to coerced sterilization as a form of contraception. A study of a national survey of family growth found that 41% of Black disabled women use sterilization as a contraceptive method, compared with 28% of white disabled women. Black disability activists and others have been saying that we need to deal with how being multiply marginalized affects your access to reproductive care, how being indigenous, LGBTQIA+, Latinx, or Black, and disabled means multiple biases come crashing down on you. This needs to be acknowledged and addressed by our healthcare system and society as a whole. We also need to acknowledge that the forces of white Christian supremacists that are moving against all people. I want to remind you that every right we have fought for has been led by the marginalized and the oppressed. The reproductive justice movement begun in 1994 was led by feminists of color. It's activists of color. It's been disability activists. But now it's all of us as people that need reproductive health care. Our community is one of the most impacted by this harmful laws. People with disabilities are more likely to have medical reasons that they will need an abortion. We may not be physically able to carry a fetus to term. Our life-saving medications may interfere with a successful pregnancy, or needed medication is being denied. People that are disabled by long COVID are being denied medication right now to treat their conditions because it may cause miscarriage, may cause to someone that is not even pregnant. It can be difficult also to travel to a clinic if you have a mobility impairment, let alone at a distance. We all know that in the past few years, hospitals in rural Iowa have lost their maternity wards. Forced poverty because of income limits can make abortion inaccessible, especially since Medicaid and Medicare, which many people with disabilities rely on for health care, cannot legally cover abortion, except in some very rare, limited circumstances. We are more likely to be victims of sexual violence, 3 times more likely to experience rape or sexual assault, and almost twice as likely to experience domestic violence than non-disabled women. This is a level of trauma coming that is unacceptable. I'm going to be repeating something here. We do not consent. We do not consent to laws that are twisted and manipulated to maintain power over us. We did not make them. We can refuse to be bound by them. We do not consent. Each person's situation is different, and there is no acceptable law except freedom to choose that fits them all. It is a terrible infringement on our bodily anatomy that will lead to deaths, murders, suicides. It will destroy us from the inside. On the federal level, our legislators should get rid of the filibuster or change the rules to allow a simple majority. They should codify Roe without delay. This should not be a wedge issue for November. We deserve to be a priority right now. Our leaders in Washington can do this. Why aren't they? The United Nations has called it a violation of our human rights. And I'm glad President Biden has responded to their demand for the executive actions they specified. But they still do not go far enough to protect us. It begs the question, why is our leadership willing to put you all at risk? And why do we allow the patriarchy so much power? The Supreme Court has checks and balances if our leaders are brave enough to use them. It could be expanded with justices on our side. Congress should pass legislation that simply cancels the extreme decisions being made by this court. It's been done before. For instance, in 1991, the Civil Rights Bill overrode as many as 12 Supreme Court decisions that had significantly cut back on workplace anti-discrimination protections. So, folks, it can be done. We need to keep telling them, do something. We are the majority. We can activate. We can elect those that agree with our fundamental rights. And we can show up and make our voices heard, like you did today. I'm a disabled artist with a hearing loss, but I found my voice. You can too. I want you to give yourselves a big round of applause for showing up. Together, we are more powerful than we could ever imagine. Please take that thought home with you to your communities and do not let up. Do not let them win. Do not consent. Thank you.